Kia ora everyone, my name is Mackenzie, and as Ms. Watson, how she has just introduced me, I am a mechanical engineer. Just today we're going to be talking about a bit about my story and how I got to where I am now, which actually happens to be down in Hawke's Bay working at Waddy's, which is a new experience for me. But we're going to start off today with a little bit of an introduction. So, introducing. First of all, I wanted to quickly, I'm sure a lot of you are not very sure exactly what an engineer is. I know when I was your age, I was a little bit fuzzy about what an engineer actually did. So I first of all wanted to ask you guys if you recognize any of the things on the next slide. Don't have to comment on it, but feel free to call it out in your classes. Cool. So I'm sure you guys know most of them. There might be a couple. So we've got drones, we've got motorways, we've got processing of products. You can see some, looks like some water in the top. Medical devices. This one in the middle is actually a set of distillers for making medical products, pharmaceuticals. And then obviously the Sky Tower, which is one of our favorite engineering feats here in New Zealand. So that's a little bit of an insight into what engineers can do and achieve. I am a mechanical engineer, so I'll talk a little bit about what that means later on, but my field is more of the moving things. Yes, so my story. I am from Auckland. I grew up in Remuera and I went to Barradine College, so all-girls school. I didn't know any engineers when I was growing up. My teachers always talked about engineering and I felt it was very interesting. My favorite subjects at school were chemistry, French, and geography. So a bit of a weird mix. Maths was actually probably in there as well. I really enjoyed maths. So I knew that there was a bit of creativity in what I wanted to be doing, but I also loved learning about how things worked and why things behaved the way that they did. Like why when you throw a ball, it goes up and then comes back down in like a parabola. It was all very interesting. So my choice to do engineering came from a bit of an interesting place. I had talked to my teachers about it. I decided that there was a lot of options within engineering. So I chose to do that at the end of school. And then I went to Auckland University and I decided after 1 year there, you get to choose your specialization. So choose to go into a different area of engineering. And I selected mechanical engineering. There's a lot of different kinds of engineering. I won't be talking about all of them, but there's chemistry engineering, there is civil, which is like roading, some buildings, there's mechatronics, biomedical, all sorts of fun things. So what do I do at Beca? So Beca is a now Asia Pacific wide company that started in New Zealand. So 100 years ago, it's actually our 100-year anniversary this year. It started in Auckland, and now, as you can see, we have offices in Singapore, Thailand, Australia, New Caledonia, really all over the place. I think the stat is a bit off now. I think we're about 4,000 people now. So that's mostly engineers that make up that number, which is pretty cool. So what I do at Becker, my biggest project since I started was working on furnaces. So these are some images that you can see. The one at the bottom is the actual site that I have been working on up in Indonesia. As you can see, it's really, really big. This is only a small part of it. There is some pipes that are probably the size of me times 5, standing on top of each other, that carry all sorts of material throughout the plant. There's also some big fire and lots of exciting things happening all the time. Lots of health and safety. As you can see, everyone in these photos is wearing a lot of special gear, which means that you don't get hurt when you're doing it. Next year, I might actually be going up to the site, so I might be the one that's in these photos. We'll see. So the way that a furnace works and what we're doing for the furnace is that it lasts about 20 years normally. So it's a massive, massive oven. It pretty much brings in all of the raw material from the mining site, which is actually nickel, and they put it in and they burn it. till it's very, very hot, until it melts into layers, and they can take away the layers that have the most important material, which can be used to make things like knives and forks and phones. So all very important things for our lives. I'm sure you guys use knives and forks most days. So that's the main thing I was working on for the last 2 years. We're about to start construction next year. And now, as of about a month ago, I've been down in Hawke's Bay working at Waddy's, so helping them with all of their canning of food for the whole country. I'm sure you all know Waddy's brand, and you have the fruit salad all the time. All right. So I guess for me, my journey through STEM has been an interesting one. Being a generally more people-orientated person growing up, not so much of a sit down and study quietly kind of person all the time. I didn't know if I'd fit into engineering world, but I think that the things that I've learnt, which fit into this category here, are that a lot of the skills that make a really successful engineer are not necessarily the technical skills. So being able to do really quick maths or use a software program, which is still very important and you'll learn on the job. For me, I'd say number one is teamwork. So being able to work with people of all ages, all abilities, all different thoughts, and being able to come up with solutions that fit everybody involved. So you're working often with clients who are not from your company, and they're paying for you to help them. So you really need to make sure that they're happy and they understand what's going on. And also within the company, I work with people who are a couple of years below me, but also people who have been with Beca for 50 years. And being able to find middle ground and make sure that you can have some laughs in there as well is really important. The next one I would say is communication. Being able to, whether it's via an email, via a talk with somebody, being able to openly verbalize what you're thinking and struggles. So that includes asking questions and helping others as well. Being a good communicator is an awesome skill to have. And the last one I would say is resilience. So resilience is all about being able to take things as they come. Some things change really quickly, especially when you're on a site. Something might go wrong, someone might have to leave the site and you might be left in charge of an area which you normally don't look after. Things like this all take a lot of resilience, so being able to jump up to the challenge and impress all of your seniors above you. They love it when people take responsibility and ownership and have resilience. Cool. All right. One thing I wish I knew at your age before pursuing it. I think for me, the one thing I would have wanted to know was what an engineer actually was. So it's not just things like, I remember growing up, I thought it was like fixing cars, making trains move, and it all seemed like really big and quite like dirty and kind of straightforward and didn't change too much. But it's really, as much as you want it to make it, a lot of engineers end up in project management, a lot of engineers end up designing roller coasters, designing rocket ships for NASA. It's all about where your interests lie and what you enjoy doing. So it's really one of those career choices that is open-ended. It starts off with engineering and it can lead to almost anything. And I also wish I'd known what mechanical was. So I studied mechanical engineering. I'm not a mechanic, as a lot of people often ask me. Mechanical engineering is about the process of things that move. So moving anything that moves, machinery, process lines, big factories, all of that kind of stuff. Getting things from A to B, some pipe work, valves, all sits under mechanical. So it's pretty interesting, and we're often the link between, for example, the chemical engineers and the civil engineers. They don't necessarily know about the in-between of those processes, getting them together, so mechanicals, a lot of design and problem solving and coming up with solutions, which I find very exciting. I think that might be all I have to say for now, but I think the questions will spark some pretty cool conversations, so let me know.
There's one there for you, Emma. Sorry, Mackenzie, can you see it?
Yes, I can see it. How do you find being a female working as a mechanical engineer? I respect it. Very good question. I didn't touch on this too much, actually. It's normally one of the very cool questions I get asked. I went to an all-girls school, so I didn't have a lot of experience of being around boys in general. So at university, it was a bit of a shock when I arrived in my classes and there was 10% females in mechanical, which I think is maybe a bit higher now, but it was about 10% when I studied. It's shocking, but everyone's really accommodating and lovely, and all the lecturers and tutors and people who help you at uni are very, very accommodating of it, and you don't really feel like you're any different. Each workplace is different, but at Beca, diversity is one of the key parts of their hiring process. So we have an awesome mix of ethnicities and genders and all ages. So it's definitely the older side of my company. So everyone who's been there a little while, it's majority male, but within the young group and middle group, it's pretty cool, pretty even. Oh, next question. What's the best part of your job? I think for me, it's the people. I get, like today, for example, I've been working with someone from Kraft Heinz who has been here for 49 years. And the stories that he tells me and the things that he's already like told me about the site are things that I never would have known unless I'd talked to him. So just being able to learn from everyone who's been around for so long and have fun. We have a lot of fun at Becker as well. Where do you want to be in 10 years with your job? That's an awesome question as well. I think from 10 years from now, I see myself having worked on projects all over the world. I think, and across New Zealand. I really would love to go down and do some projects in the South Island. But I think it would be about location. I'd like to be able to lead teams and be known as being a good leader. It's probably a big one for me in 10 years' time. It's quite a long time from now. Being the go-to for questions and leadership. All right, next one. What was one of your failures? That's a really hard one. I think there's no way to learn without making mistakes. And throughout my 2 years at Beca and my internship as well, I have made many. Luckily, no big ones. And everyone is very patient and willing to explain. And there's no way that you'll be the best you can be unless you have someone that's able to give you constructive feedback. So not always just saying, great job, you did great, but actually being able to say, yep, this part was really good, but maybe this part you could work on next time. And it's not it's not them personally telling me that I'm bad, just that I can, improve how I am. Who's your biggest inspiration? Ooh. I think there's about there's a movie about the 3 females, women of color from NASA who pretty much were the first computers. So before calculators and computers, they actually had ladies who sat in a room and did calculations, and some of them are the first reason that shuttles got into space. So probably ladies like that who in their time should never have been able to do engineering, but they did. Those kind of people. Yeah, that's the movie. He's got it, Hidden Figures. I watched it actually a couple weeks ago. I'm surprised I didn't remember the name. All right.
All righty, Mackenzie. Now, are there any other questions from the students in the schools listening? We'll give you another moment to type those in, if there are some.
Here's a Wonder Project question, Mackenzie. So what does a typical day look like for you?
A typical day is varied. It's always varied. Most of the year, I'm normally at the office in Auckland for the start of the day. So I start at 8 o'clock in central Auckland, we're very lucky to have an office there because we have lots of nice food and activities to do around there. I'll normally meet with my team in the morning. So we have in my section, where they're known as the industrial section, we're split into 4 smaller teams within that. So we've got process engineers, mechanical, project management and electrical. So I'll meet with the mechanical team in the morning, meet with my team leads, make sure that everyone's on the same page for what we're working on that day, and then get started and ask questions. There's a lot of bouncing ideas around, a lot of talking to people, trying and erroring with things, and producing documents. So that's a normal day. My day on site, which is a new experience for me. Today I started at 6:30, which is quite early. So on site at 6:30, I have 2 Kraft Heinz Waddies employees working with me. So we get started as soon as we can. We're going around the site and checking all of the assets that they have. So we'll have a list and it says check the boiler, check the process conveyor. So we're looking for condition, we're looking at how those assets are, and we're recording that so that they can report back to their overseas leadership and tell them that everything is all good. So it's a big job, and there's a lot of, I think they manufacture and process about 600 different products here over the year. So I'm learning all about it. I went to the peaches line today, so got to look at how peaches are made in summertime. They're not being made right now because there's no peaches.
When you're on site, Mackenzie, do you have to wear special clothes?
I do. They're sitting just over there, so you can't see them because of my background. I have to wear a hairnet, which is really, really fun. White overalls, so that say Waddies on them. Then I wear my high vis on the top, and then I have headphones, earmuffs like this, which I wear when I go into loud areas. You don't have to wear it everywhere, but if you go somewhere loud, you want to protect your hearing. Also some safety glasses as well sometimes. Oh, also steel cap boots. Forgot about those.
Steel cap boots. Well, Mackenzie, it appears there are no more questions that have come in to the inbox. So we might close the presentation off now. I would like to thank you very much for giving up part of your workday to be with us today to share your career story with students in schools. It was a fascinating talk and very, very, very interesting. So thank you. We really do appreciate it, Mackenzie.
Thank you very much for having me, and I hope everyone learned a little bit about engineering.